I'm Jan Vormann. I do sculpture and installations, sometimes in public space, sometimes in white cubes, galleries, sometimes also in off spaces. I do sculpture and I studied in Kunsthochschule Berlin-Weißensee.
The project you will do on the tribe and that you will present today is?
I will present overview about my work, but I will also make it a little bit focus on dispatch work. It's a project that is a transnational project in public spaces, which means that I go to different countries, sometimes with invitation, sometimes private, and I repair walls with plastic construction pieces. Sometimes in workshop kind of ways, sometimes very intimately alone. And the idea with workshops is to keep, to give the notion of the possibility of own realization of your own visions in public space and your own participation in the public space.
What kind of street art it could be?
It's a physical street art. I'm very interested in the public space because it's a very direct thing, obviously. It's also very temporary, transitory space where people just walk by with the daily routines, not necessarily like caring so much about what's going on around them because they go from home to work. So it's a transit place, and it's very interesting because there are different cultures who have different understanding of this space. For example, in some cultures it's just a place where you walk through. In other cultures it's a place where people meet and and spend time together. So it really depends on the country how the project is received, for example.
And this is a very old, it's a pretty old project, no? You have been doing it for, I mean, not old, but because you have been continuously doing it, no?
Exactly. The project was first initiated in 2007. Since then it has changed its phases a lot. I mean, it has, for example, taken on this new notion of workshop, and it also has taken the notion of a self-organized guerrilla kind of action, that people from all over the world do the project without me being present and sending me their photos, which I publish on the website, dispatchwork.info. And also there is a forum which is slowly working with people who sign up to create events or to announce their events. In Mexico, for example, was the last one. So this is a new side of the project which I didn't plan, or which is also not the initial idea of the project.
Mm-hmm. How is this? What is the position, or how is this project in your whole work as an artist, sculptor, everything you said before?
Right now, what I'm focused on as a sculptor is to use, as a visual artist, to use imagery that is understandable. I have traveled a little bit throughout the world, and I've found many similarities, and this has always been my wish, and always also been my vision to find out if nationality and personal identity can actually work without, if you don't really need the national identity, if people can, if the only barrier might be language and not culture, in a way that people all over the world have a similar approach to different objects. What I mean is, for example, I work with these plastic construction bricks that are known mostly all over the world in, let's say, industrialized countries, and also soap bubbles with which I work, which are quite famous and known all over the world. Also playing dice I use for the same reason, that it's a recognizable object to begin with. And then with this simple idea of this simple object as a carrier of symbolic value, that people actually get lured into every deeper reflection, so that maybe it's about time, like in the soap bubble life extension machine, that it's about first of all, you have the soap bubble as an international recognized, even in the art world, object of fragility and ephemeral existence of objects and maybe even of animals and things alive. And then to make this soap bubble life extension machine that conserves the soap bubble forever, changing this image and also reflecting upon maybe, if you want, medicine and the contraptions possible with modern technology to extend life, for example.
Returning to this patchwork, do you how do you choose the buildings? Does it make any difference? And for example, in this specific context of Cyprus, of Nicosia, how do you see it? It could be considered as a political act as well. Do you see it like this or not?
Well, the initial approach of this patchwork was that I was actually referring towards the architectural style of a little city in Pocchignano, in Italy, where they just used random bricks to build their houses. So basically the integrity of the structure was more important than the design of it. So they didn't just like tear down the whole house because they didn't have the fitting bricks. So this reminded me of kids building structures with a limited amount of bricks, and then you just use the shape rather than finding the same color. So this was the initial idea, and then I was invited to Tel Aviv, where walls have a very different meaning, because there is also the separation and so on. So there it got a political notion, obviously. And in Berlin also we worked on a wall. This is also the first time that people actually were invited to join, and we worked on this wall which was destroyed during the World War II with some army shooting the wall down. So we repaired this also, where it completely got a political component to the whole idea. So now I try to choose special places, but since there is different layers of the work, I don't mind also just to repair whatever wall hidden in some dark corner of where nobody goes. What I really like with this project is the moment of surprise, that I'm also influenced by graffiti, where it really doesn't matter as long as you just put your stuff on the wall. So it's this I was here kind of thing. There is also this layer in this work. So when I go somewhere in a completely boring city, which has boring in a way of architectural or also political or well, this kind of boringness where nothing ever happened and nothing will ever happen, but I will still find a wall to leave my sign, I was here. So it is oscillating between the more important walls that I might choose just to point it out, and then I will also point it out on the website to say the background of this structure. But it can also be just a regular wall of some regular house, as I said.
How permanent is it in your experience so far, the intervention?
It's also, the project is possibly also a test of how the neighborhood of its how do you say, the people who live there. So it means in some neighborhoods it stays for a long time because people take care of it, people don't need the toy so urgently. In other neighborhoods, kids with a lot of kids, they would take the toy, and other neighborhoods the parents would actually go and take the toys for the kids, and so it really depends. I will never glue them down, or it has happened, but it's even if you glue it down, people take it off. The thing is that in public space everything is a fair game. So basically anything in public space, there's just enough that one person comes and takes it or wants to destroy it, and then it's gone, you know. So this is also thematized in a way that I don't glue it down. Sometimes I go up with the ladder, I do it where people cannot reach it, but generally if I reach one person, it's good. If I reach 10 persons, it's good with it. But it doesn't really matter. Also, there is another side of the project, which is the documentation and photography. So there it will always stay, and it also plays with deceit in a way. You know, people who see it on the internet, they find a patch that is in their city, and then they go to this location to find it if it's still there, and it's gone. Which I kind of like the idea also, that expectation and deceit of what you're going to find.
And about transitory art, or the term of transitoriness in art, do you relate to this term? Do you find it's relevant? Do you see any elements of it in your work that you could relate to?
I see transitoriness. Well, we live in a world where a lot of everything changes all the time. Our body is in a transitory state all the time. We take up nutrition and we put out the old stuff that we don't need anymore. We lose skin all the time. We reproduce the skin. We reproduce blood. We sweat. We lose water, and so it's a transitory world, basically. I work in my recent works. I will not say I will work like this forever, but in my recent works, I've worked a lot with with moments of temporariness, that either I try to make time stop by making soap bubbles stop bursting, or making dice stop to roll, or I try exactly the opposite, to make something break down on purpose with machines that, like, the only sense is to finally break down. Maybe also related to the art market. What can you sell? How much can a collector collect from a broken machine and stuff like this? So my work is often, since I'm aware of the fact that the world is very it exists of futile moments, and of moments that will never come again, and of also relativity in a way of time, that you might have moments that seem like forever and other ones that are forever, and they seem very short. This all is very interesting to me, and therefore I absolutely try to work with this a lot.